This is Zombie Chickens podcast, where two heads are better than one, even if they're undead. My name is Marnay.
And my name is Megan.
And in this episode, we are going around the world tasting different culinary delicacies that has changed modern history of food, so to speak.
So basically just the top 10 foods of the world. According to, what was the article?
I don't know. It was just a very long article.
Yes.
When you said it took a mile to scroll down, I thought you exaggerated.
No, it literally took me 20 years.
Like the 75 different foods of the world.
Yeah, I am currently now 50 years old. So, no, it...
49 to be exact.
To be exact. So, with that, we will, obviously, it is according to this article, the top 10 foods of the world. It's not everyone's favorite top 10 foods of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, just bear that in mind.
I don't know about you, but I got all the food that I don't like.
When I went through the list and I saw which ones you got, I was laughing my ass off.
Because it's yours.
I
It's literally the stuff you like to eat.
But there's nothing on that list that I don't eat. Like, literally, the top 10 is that I would eat. Like, it's not... I'm not a picky eater, so it doesn't... like... I
was like, yeah, this is definitely Megan's list. This is not my list.
Yeah, I think my list would be more towards your taste preference, but I would eat both 5, yours and mine, so...
I know.
Oh, I don't know if you saw, but on the article, they actually asked the people, I think they asked the company that wrote the article, people in their company, that if that certain food deserved its spot in the top.
I saw. But it's quite difficult because a top 10 is difficult with food. I mean, I don't even think I can list my top number 1 food that I prefer. I can list 10 things that I like, but I can't say this is my favorite one.
Well, I can list my top 3, but it's interchangeable. So it depends on what I'm craving at that moment.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That would be my top 3 foods. But it depends on what I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I think there was only 2 of the top 10 list that the people from that company said that it doesn't belong on the list, and I think there's only 2 is in my list, in my 5.
Oh,
you don't have all the ones you have. It said that they were meant to be there. I have 2 in my list. I will say after I read which one it is.
Okay.
Which one?
Okay.
So
because obviously I didn't read your part. I only read my part.
Yeah. So yeah, while I was searching through websites, I obviously read most of them. Yeah.
So starting at number 10, we have dim sum. So I went and made a Marnay rating of the food, and I give it a 3 out of 10 because I don't like dim sum. Okay, and which is also unfair because dim sum is a variety of different foods.
Yeah.
And I had dumplings, like pork dumplings, and I can't deal with the consistency, I can't deal with the taste, I can't deal with the smell. So that's why I'm giving it a 3 out of 10. But I will try other variances of dim sum. But in any case, the original meaning of the term dim sum remains unclear and debated. Dim sum is part of the Chinese tradition of snacks originating from the Song dynasty, which is between 960 and 1279, when royal chefs created various dishes such as minced pheasant, lark tongue, and desserts made from steamed milk and bean paste. Guangzhou experienced an increase in commercial travel in the 10th century. At that time, travelers would frequent tea houses for small portion meals and tea called yamcha, or drink tea meals. Yamcha includes 2 related options. The first translates literally as 1 cup, 2 pieces. This refers to the custom of serving tea house customers 2 pieces of delicacy made food items, savory or sweet, to complement their tea. The second part, which means dim sum, translates literally to touching heart or heart touching. Either way. This is a term used to designate the small food items that accompanied the drinking of tea. During the 13th century, when Mongols invaded China, the royal court fled to southern China, bringing a royal influence to the dim sum of Guangzhou. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Guangzhou, yeah. Guangzhou was a wealthy, large port city that had international visitors, a temperate climate and coastline where fresh and tropical ingredients were grown, resulting in an ideal environment for food and entertainment. In Guangzhou, street vendors and tea houses sold dim sum. The practice of having tea with dim sum at tea houses eventually evolved into modern yamcha. While at the tea houses, travelers selected their preferred snacks from carts. Visitors at tea houses often socialized as they ate, and business people negotiated deals over dim sum. Cantonese dim sum culture developed rapidly during the later half of the 19th century in Guangzhou. Tea house dining areas were typically located upstairs, and initial dim sum fare included steamed buns. Eventually, these evolved into specialized dim sum restaurants. The variety and quality of dim sum dishes rapidly followed suit. Cantonese dim sum was originally based on local foods such as sweet roast pork called char siu and fresh rice noodles. As dim sum continued to develop, chefs introduced influences and traditions from other regions of China, which created a starting point for the wide variety of dim sum available today. Chefs created a large range of dim sum that even today compromises most of tea houses' dim sum offerings. Part of this development included reducing portion sizes of larger dishes originally from northern China, such as stuffed steamed buns, so they would easily be incorporated into dim sum menu. So the rapid growth in dim sum restaurants was due partly because the people found the preparation of dim sum dishes to be time-consuming and preferred the convenience of dining out and eating a large variety of baked, steamed, pan-fried, deep-fried, and braised foods. Dim sum continued to develop and also spread throughout southwards of Hong Kong. Although there was an increased awareness of dim sum, one chef from Hong Kong who immigrated to San Francisco noted that diners in the US usually focus on the food itself and not the communal aspects of dim sum. Although dim sum is a Chinese meal, it is a communal dining and social experience that can span hours. Yeah, and that's something we don't really do. We eat and do our own thing. If you think about it, it's not like with the Chinese tradition where they sit and eat for hours, basically. Nibbling here, nibbling there.
Yeah, not really. I'm not sure. I don't think it depends on from people to people here in South Africa, I guess.
Same, but just thinking about it, it's dim sum. What I can gather from it as well, it's more of a culture as well. But in any case, it is customary for large groups to enjoy dishes together as a leisurely social activity. Diners go to restaurants early, around 10 a.m., and rather than ordering a whole table of food, they order small amounts. Have a cup of tea, read the newspaper, and wait for the friends and family to join them. As a result, a visit to a dim sum restaurant can last from a late morning to well in the afternoon. For some people in Hong Kong, dim sum is a daily routine and a way of life. Since the dim sum tradition has not always presented in some US dim sum restaurants, however, its approaches to generate interest and attract customers include customized seasoning and flavors of traditional dishes, as well as creating novel dishes with an emphasis on enhanced flavors and visual appeal. But there's something like over 1,000 flavors of dim sum.
Damn.
Because that's obviously with the westernization and.
Yeah.
But that's dim sum. And would you give it a rating?
I haven't had enough dim sum to.
That's the problem because
I like the things I've had. I love dumplings. I loved steam bums.
Nutty.
Steam bums. No, I love steamed buns.
I never had steamed buns before.
It's really good. Oh, they're so. It's such a interesting texture compared to anything that I've ever had. It's so fluffy and squishy, and it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, that's why I say I'll try it again, because dim sum it's a large variety, and
But I like pork more than you do, though.
exactly,
So,
and it does have a very pork flavor.
So see, I love like pulled pork, steamed buns, and those type of things.
But pulled pork is normally
so
not
good.
that pork flavor. The dumplings is very more
they
pork.
don't. It's not really seasoned pork with
exactly.
like marinated pork. It's
Exactly. I'll have
plain
marinated pork only with people that I know that knows how to make pork. Otherwise, I won't eat it. But
yeah, see, I love like dumplings and those things as well. So I don't mind steamed. Steamed. I don't mind pork dumplings, and so I enjoy it. I've never had like a big variety of dim sum though.
yeah, that would be fun to try different varieties, because
I
that's the
would.
thing of dim sum is a variety of small portions.
We should actually see, because there should be like traditional Chinese restaurants in Cape Town.
But I want to go to, I can't remember the restaurant's name, but it's a very Japanese styled restaurant. I'd like to go there, have some ramen.
Yeah, I want to try I know of a few Japanese restaurants and I also really want to go. There's a Korean barbecue place.
Oh yes.
I want to go there as well.
Yes.
I'm making myself hungry again. No, yeah, so I like the dim sum I've had. I liked, but it wasn't from a traditional Chinese.
It was from a vendor.
Yeah. So the steamed buns was from a vendor, and then all the dumplings I've had was like from Simply Asia, like those places.
Oh, okay.
So it's like generalized restaurants that's technically not traditional.
I hear you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I have been in like this really tiny traditional Japanese restaurant in, where were we? Where I was. I think it was in England. No. Was it? I think it was in the UK. I get so confused between the places. I think it was in the UK, and it was like this really, really tiny you had to like actually go look for it, and you can easily miss it because it has the curtains in front, like the traditional. So like, and it's really tiny. It's probably there's only 4 tables in the entire place.
Oh, shit.
And it's so good. It was amazing. And there's
services. It's always those weird, dodgy looking places that actually gives you really good food.
And it was owned and cooked. The cook was Japanese. It was owned by a Japanese family.
Oh wow!
And they had like a traditional Japanese menu with like, and I had some Japanese beer as well, with soju as well. No, soju is Korean. I mean, sake.
Just about
no,
doesn't sound.
No, soju is Korean.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really good.
Okay. So what's yours?
So my one,
number 9.
My first one is number 9, and it's mochi. Mochi is one of the ones that was said that it doesn't belong on the list.
Why? Because
some of the comments said that it's something that it is really good. It's just that they don't feel that
it should be that high.
They don't feel it should be that high.
Oh.
So I've never had mochi.
Same.
So I can't say the reasoning behind it, but if you think about it, it's flavored rice cake. So
I've seen videos how to make it.
I think it's also the texture puts some people off because it's very.
It looks gloopy.
It is gloopy. It's glutinous rice, so it's very So basically, mochi. Japan and Korea both have similar pounded glutinous rice foods known as mochi and tteok. The exact origin of mochi is unknown, though it is said to have come from China. The cakes of pounded glutinous rice appear to have become a New Year's treat during Japan's Heian period. As early as the 10th century, various kinds of mochi were used as imperial offerings at religious ceremonies. A dictionary dating from before 1070 calls the rice cake mochi. Mochi. So with a double I. Around the 18th century, people began to call it mochi. So there's a difference in saying it.
Pronunciation.
Yeah,
Okay.
you lengthen the E, so it's mochi and mochi. So that's the difference. Various theories explain the name. One is that mochi came from the verb mochu, to hold or to have, signifying that mochi is food given by God. The word mochizuki means full moon. People of the West and Southwest Islands called it muchimi, meaning stickiness. A matchbox-sized piece of mochi has the same caloric content as a bowl of rice.
True, yeah. So you should only eat one.
Yeah, so just be mindful of how much mochi you take in. Japanese farmers are said to eat mochi on cold winter days to increase their stamina. Samurai took mochi to the battlefield because it was easy to carry and to prepare. The sound of samurai pounding mochi was a sign that they were about to go into battle.
Oh.
Mochi tsuki, the traditional mochi pounding ceremony in Japan. So it's mochi tsuki is a traditional mochi pounding ceremony in Japan, is often performed by traditional rural or wealthier households on December 29th in the preparation for New Year's celebrations. It can be performed at any time of the year though, and is often part of local festivals and celebrations. But it is more of a New Year's thing. There's different type of mochis. There is kagami mochi, literally meaning mirror rice cake. So kagami means mirror and mochi, so rice
Mirror
cake.
as in the sense of shiny or...
As in mirror. It's kagami means mirror.
Okay.
Yeah. So kagami mochi is a traditional Japanese New Year decoration consisting of 2 round mochi cakes, the smaller placed on top atop the larger, with a dai, a Japanese bitter orange,
Ooh.
with an attached leaf set on top. So a dai. It is actually called a mirror cake because it has a reflective...
Like
it's
shiny.
shiny.
Okay.
But-
Like the mirror cakes they make these days.
Yeah.
Like that shininess.
Yeah, similar, but it's because years ago they had a mirror that looked similar in shape and similar.
I see.
It looked similar to what the kagami mochi looks like.
Okay.
So that's why it's called that. And there's dango. Dango are eaten year-round, but the different variants are traditionally eaten at different seasons. 3 to 4 dango are often served on a skewer. So it's usually it's quite small. They make it quite small. It's actually not that big. I would say it's like, if you know, the small jawbreaker sizes. Like it's quite
good reference.
Yeah.
Jawbreakers.
It's
90s kids.
Yeah, it's the same size as than that. The many different variants of dango, are usually named after the various seasons served on or with them. So you get like sakura flavor and things like that, and those are all the ones that are served with like the sakura festival season when it's the start of spring. So those are served with it, and then they usually have like one with green white and pink. And the pink one is usually sakura. The green one is usually green tea or matcha.
Matcha.
Yeah, so it depends. And there's mochi ice cream, which is the one that's basically more popular.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a layer of mochi filled with, and then ice cream filling.
Oh, wow.
So that's, most people call it mochi, but it's actually mochi ice cream. Mochi refers to the rice cake. So if you would go buy mochi at a place, it's usually going to be the mochi with the ice cream inside, or red bean paste, or you get matcha as well. It depends on what paste is inside. But small balls of ice cream are wrapped inside a mochi covering to make mochi ice cream. The mochi has been modified to make it soft at cold temperatures. Mochi ice cream was first manufactured in Japan in 1981 by the Korean conglomerate Lotte as Yukimi Daifuku. Yukimi Daifuku. Snow viewing Daifuku. That's what it means. In 1993, Mikawaya began manufacturing mochi ice cream in the United States, where it is becoming increasingly popular and is sold in chocolate, mango, green tea, coffee, vanilla, and strawberry flavors.
I don't like coffee flavored anything. Like coffee flavored cake,
Oh,
coffee flavored sweets,
yeah, see,
coffee flavored chocolates.
I'm not bothered. But you also don't like strawberry flavored if it's not flavored with real
yeah,
strawberry.
I don't like strawberry artificial flavors.
Yeah, so...
But I have strawberry yogurt, which does have artificial strawberry flavoring in it, which doesn't make fucking sense.
So apparently mochi is actually a very high choking... It has a very high choking hazard.
Really?
Because of its consistency and texture, people forget that they need to chew it. So they just want to swallow it. But by just swallowing it, obviously, you have to chew it. People think because of the texture, you don't need to chew it.
Okay, so what we need to take home today is chew, don't swallow.
Yes, if you go eat, please.
Gail swallows.
So people, if you eat mochi, please
Chew.
it first. But luckily,
Don't
most people,
swallow.
when they eat mochi ice cream. So it's a very, very small amount of mochi around the ice cream. Yeah.
So take home today. Chew, don't swallow.
Yeah. And mochi can have, actually you can have savory flavors as well as sweet flavors. But
really?
Sweet flavors are more common, but mochi...
Yeah, because I've never heard of a savory flavored mochi. All the videos I've seen was more, sweet.
Sweet flavor. It is a delicacy. So, but they put mochi in soups and ramen and miso soup, and they do it in as well. They make these blocks that they harden the mochi. So what you do, you actually fry it, and it makes like a hard, crispy exterior and then like a gooey interior inside. So when you like sort of pull it apart, like you would string cheese, it will like give a pull. Yeah, so there's a lot of different variation of how you can eat plain mochi, but that is pure plain rice cake. So it doesn't really have a flavor. So that's why it's nice to accompany with miso soup and things like that, because
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, so at number 8, not 9, number 8, I have here the cheeseburger.
The cheeseburger.
Which I gave 9 out of 10.
A very good marinade rating.
Yes.
Which is probably going to be one of the only ones that has a high marinade rating.
No, there's another one.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember which one, but there's another one.
There's another one. Okay.
There's another one. Okay, so to start off, we need to start off with the hamburger history.
Yes.
You can't have the cheeseburger without knowing the
history of a hamburger.
Yes. Anyways. So the hamburger is one of the world's most popular food, which is not really news for us. But with nearly 50 billion served up annually in the United States alone.
Damn.
No wonder they are so fat. I mean, we can't talk.
I just want to say, South Africa is also one of the highest obesity.
We like our McDonald's,
yeah.
Mickey D's.
We also have one of the highest obesity. So
50 billion. My brain broke. Any case, although the humble beef patty on a bun is technically not much more than 100 years old, it is part of a far greater lineage linking American businessmen, World War II soldiers, German political refugees, medieval traders, and Neolithic farmers. Because it is actually quite difficult to trace back the burger. So the groundwork of the ground beef sandwich was laid with the domestication of cattle in Mesopotamia around 10,000 years ago, and with the growth of Hamburg in Germany as an independent trading city in the 12th century where beef delicacies were popular. Now, let's jump ahead to 1848. That's when political revolution shook the 39 states of the German Confederation, spurring an increase in German immigration to the United States. With German people came German food, beer gardens, while butchers offered a panoply of traditional meat preparations. Because Hamburg was known as an exporter of high quality beef, restaurants began offering Hamburg-style chopped meat. In the mid-19th century, American preparations of raw beef had been chopped, chipped, ground or scraped were a common prescription for digestive issues. Can you believe it? After New York doctor James H. Salisbury suggested in 1867 that cooked beef patties might be just as healthy, cooks and physicians alike quickly adopted the Salisbury steak. Around the same time, the first popular meat grinders for home use became widely available. Salisbury endorsed one called the American Chopper, setting the stage for an explosion of readily available ground beef. So that's just basically the idea behind the burger itself.
Yeah.
The burger seems to have made its jump from plate to bun in the last decades of the 19th century, though the site of this transformation is highly contested. Lunch wagons, fair stands, and roadside restaurants in Wisconsin, Connecticut, Ohio, New York, and Texas all have been put forward as possible sites of the hamburger's birth. Whatever its genesis, the burger on a bun found its first white audience was at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair, which also introduced millions of Americans to new foods ranging from waffle ice cream cones and cotton candy to peanut butter and iced tea. I think that's what I've always wanted to see from history, if I could go back, as the World's Fair, because that's where everything is going to be. Every new single idea, every new single food would be there. But in any case, 2 years later, though, disaster struck in the form of Upton Sinclair's journalistic novel, The Jungle, which detailed the unsavory side of the American meatpacking industry. Industrial ground beef was easy to adulterate with fillers, preservatives, and meat scraps, and the hamburger became a prime suspect. Which makes sense. Because, I mean, using scraps is going to fill up the meat, like a bit of lung,
bit of that,
bit of heart.
Obviously. And now it's just cardboard.
Or horse meat, if we're lucky.
Horse meat.
The hamburger might have remained on the seamier margins of American cuisine were it not for the vision of Edgar Billy Ingram and Walter Anderson, who opened the first White Castle restaurant in Kansas in 1921. White Castle countered the hamburger's meat low reputation by becoming defenders of cleanliness, health, and hygiene. Ingram even commissioned a medical school study to show the health benefits of hamburgers. Again, His system, which included on-premise meat grinding, worked well and was inspiration for other national hamburger chains founded in the boom years after the Second World War, like McDonald's and In-N-Out Burger, both founded in 1948, Burger King, which was founded in 1954, and Wendy's in 1969.
Good year.
Summer of 69. So, if we go to... but I forgot to mention this though. The big problem with the hamburger thing is because there was something that I read that was mentioned is sandwiches. Because sandwiches was invented way before hamburgers, so to speak.
Yeah.
If you have to put it in
Quotations? What?
quotations, there you go. Because everyone thinks that the fourth Duke of Sandwich invented the sandwich. No, it wasn't. It was just named after him because he liked to play poker. And instead of making his hands dirty, he would send the servants downstairs to the kitchen. And also he played quite a long period. So it was very early hours where the kitchens were closed. So he would send servants downstairs to get anything that I could find that was still edible or whatever was left and put it between two pieces of bread. So he just got the name Sandwich from him because he was the fourth Duke of Sandwich. Just named after him, but it's not. People generally believe that he invented it. No, he didn't. It was named after him, the fourth Duke of Sandwich. But adding cheese to hamburgers became popular in the late 1920s and mid-1930s. There are several competing claims to who created the first cheeseburger. Lionel Sternberger is reputed to have introduced the cheeseburger in 1926 at the age of 16. He was working as a fry cook at his father's Pasadena, California sandwich shop, The Right Spot, and experimentally dropped a slab of American cheese on a sizzling hamburger. An early example of cheeseburger appearing on a menu is in a 1928 menu for the Los Angeles restaurant O'Dell's, which listed a cheeseburger smothered with chili for 25 cents. If only we could pay 25 cents for a burger.
Yeah.
Other restaurants also claim to have invented the cheeseburger. For example, Kalen's restaurant in Louisiana, Kentucky said it invented the cheeseburger in 1934. 1 year later, a trademark for the name cheeseburger was awarded to Louis Ballast for the Humpty Dumpty Drive-In in Denver, Colorado. According to Steak and Shake archives, the restaurant founder Gus Belt applied for a trademark in the word in the 1930s. The steamed cheeseburger, a variant almost exclusively served in General, Connecticut, is believed to have been invented at a restaurant called Jack's Lunch in Middleton, Connecticut in the 1930s. But the largest cheeseburger ever made weighed 2,014 pounds, which doesn't make sense because it's 914 kilograms.
Damn.
Jesus. You can feed an army with that.
Damn.
It is said to have included, 60 pounds, which is 27 kilograms of bacon, 50 pounds, which is 23 kilograms of lettuce, 23 kilograms of sliced onions, 40 pounds, which is 18 kilograms of pickles, and 40 pounds, which is 18 kilograms of cheese. This record was set in 2012 by Minnesota's Black Bear Casino, breaking the previous record of 881 pounds, which is 400 kilograms. That's like doubled. More than doubled.
Damn.
In the United States, National Cheeseburger Day is celebrated annually on September the 18th. So let's make September the 18th National Cheeseburger Day.
Yeah. Make it International Cheeseburger Day.
Why not?
Well, I love cheeseburger, so
Especially Mackie D's.
yeah, so
cheeseburger.
I'll obviously do my Megan rating is 10 out of 10. But yeah. So next on my list is number 7, and it's jiaozi, Chinese dumplings. So the history and origin. According to legend, during the Eastern Han Dynasty, there lived a famous physician of traditional Chinese medicine named Zhang Zongjing.
Zhang Zhongjing. I like that.
Zhang Zongjing, who introduced dumplings 1,800 years back.
Joe.
The medical saint was returning to his ancestral village after a long period of absence. During that winter, the febrile disease was turning into an epidemic. Many poor people and his fellow citizens submitted to the cold weather because of the lack of warm clothes and sufficient food. and suffered frostbite, mainly around the ears. Seeing their condition, Zhang was determined to do something to get them rid of the frostbite. He cooked lamb, black peppers, and a few medicinal herbs, shredded them, and wrapped it in the scrape of doe skin. He shaped them like ears and boiled them. Everyone ill were given the 2 ears along with a bowl of warm soup. After a few days, the frostbite was gone and the epidemic was under control. Since then, most people begin imitating Zhang's recipe with additional ingredients like vegetables and other kinds of meat to celebrate Chinese New Year. A doctor in China, Wang Lingxiang, talks about how, apart from having a wonderful taste, Zhang's recipe can help promote blood flow and thaw cold ears. Although people love to call dumplings too as jiaozi, they were originally named jiao for its shape of tender ears. From winter solstice to New Year's Eve, Zhang went distributing the dumplings among all the villagers who had recovered from their illness. Few other theories suggest that jiaozi may have been introduced from dumplings in Western Asia. During the period of 3 kingdoms, Jiang Yi mentioned jiaozi in his book Guandia in the northern Qi dynasty. Yan Tui wrote about how the jiaozi, shaped like crescent moon, was someone everyone around the world loved. Chinese archaeologists found a bowl of jiaozi in the tombs of Tang dynasty in Turpan. Since jiaozi also resembled gold and silver ingots that were used as currency during the Ming dynasty, serving them was believed to bring prosperity. Families loved to have them at midnight on Chinese New Year's Eve. Some of them even hide a clean coin inside the jiaozi for the fortune of one to find it. So you get different types. You get boiled dumplings, steamed dumplings, as well as pan-fried dumplings. Oh, and this is what is believed each type of filling gives the person eating it.
Oh.
So a filling made of beef is thought to have encouraged financial growth. Those made of fish could signify a surplus of wealth for the diner. Good luck and wealth for another 100 years are believed to be brought by fillings made by cabbage. Celery dumplings could bring about money as it signifies diligence. Mushroom dumplings bring fortune and wealth to all those who eat them.
Okay, so I need to eat all of them.
Yes, just take a whole plate of various
cabbage. I hate cabbage.
Various dumplings. But yeah, so that is the jiaozi. And this is also one of them that is on the list that they say that it shouldn't be that high on the list.
Oh.
I think it's because everyone loves dumplings, but it's not
sushi.
No. No. It's not. It's a traditional dish. It's not a popular dish. So meaning it's more popular in the Chinese culture than a worldwide popular thing.
Well, that is starting to get popular here.
It is definitely starting to get popular. I think it's very popular in America as well.
We have more, immigrants, Chinese immigrants, and we also have a lot of Chinese immigrants. But they eat, I don't know what the hell they eat. It always smells like cabbage when you go to the 5 Rand stores. Don't know why.
But so that's mine.
So at number 6, I have my least favorite, paella. And I give it a marinade rating of 0. I just don't like paella.
You can get paella without seafood, right?
I know. I didn't know this. It makes sense after I read this. Like, duh, you can get. So I will definitely try it without the seafood. But me growing up, it's something I grew up with and never liked.
But it also depends on who made it for you.
No, it was a real Spaniard. My grandfather had this best friend called Ramos, and he was a real Spaniard. And every time, oh Jesus, I can still remember it. Every time we had a braai and Ramos would come, they would make paella.
I know, you told me about this hatred of yours. Don't worry, I know about it. But
I think they made us other food, but still, I mean, you can still smell the paella throughout the whole house. Oh. Yeah. Which is funny because I come from a family that fishes. Which is weird because it would make me a person that would eat crayfish.
No, but that's the thing. You fucking only like fish and that's it.
My brother doesn't eat fish.
Only certain type of fish you like.
No, I'll eat fish.
No, a certain type of fish. Would you
cooked
like
fish?
Would you eat most other types of fish?
Yeah, if it's cooked.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, definitely if it's cooked.
But yeah, I've had a paella, but we say paella, but it's paella. You don't.
I know it. I know it as paella.
Yeah, same. So I've had with chicken. It's really good.
I'll have it with anything else, just not seafood. And again, it's the weird thing because I grew up with seafood.
But you can make it with fish. You don't need to make it with other type of seafood.
I'll try it with fish because I think I'll eat it with fish.
I had a combo one, so I had.
Oh Jesus! I always made it with combo. When I grew up, like with crab sticks.
Oh no! I mean, I had with chicken and fish.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a combo in, I think it was Portugal. They had we went to a restaurant and they had.
Was it?
Was actually really good.
I imagine you don't taste the chicken.
It was quite good. Chicken. The thing with chicken is it has it takes up the flavor of what you eat it with.
So fish.
Yeah. So it's the same type of. It's really
chicken
good.
Flavored or fish flavored chicken.
Yeah, it was really good. Wasn't that bad?
I can imagine. I just find it quite weird to combine two things, but again, chicken tastes like basically nothing.
And one that was also very, very popular was squid ink, so black paella. So it was everything was black because they flavor it with squid ink. Yeah.
Maybe I should make paella with calamari because I do like calamari.
You can make it with anything you want.
Yes, basically.
Yeah. Anyway.
So paella is a Spanish rice dish originally from Valencia. Paella is one of the best known dishes in Spanish cuisine. For this reason, many non-Spaniards view it as a Spanish national dish, but Spaniards most unanimously consider it to be a dish from the Valencian region. Valencians in return regard paella as one of their identifying symbols. Paella takes its name from the wide, shallow traditional pan used to cook the dish on an open fire, which means frying pan in Valencian. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have Portuguese family.
No, but
so
yeah, but it's not just that. I went to way too many paella restaurants.
As a dish, it may have ancient roots, but in its modern form, it is traced back to the mid-19th century in the rural area around the Albufera lagoon, adjacent to the city of Valencia on the east coast of Spain. So they assume that the Moors in Muslim Spain began rice cultivation around the 10th century. Consequently, Eastern Iberian Peninsula locals often made casseroles of rice, fish and spices for family gatherings and religious feasts, thus establishing a custom for eating rice in Spain. This led to rice becoming a staple in the 15th century. Afterwards, it became customary for cooks to combine rice with vegetables, beans and dry cod, providing an acceptable meal for Lent. Along Spain's eastern coast, rice was predominantly eaten with fish. Spanish food historian Lourdes March notes that the dish symbolizes the union and heritage of two important cultures, the Roman, which gives us the utensil, and the Arab, which brought us the basic food of humanity for centuries, which is rice. So there are different types of paella, like we said. So there's the paella Valencia. It's the traditional paella of the Valencia region, believed to be the original recipe, and consists of ground grain rice, bajoqueta, and tavella. It's just varieties of green beans, peas, rabbit, chicken, sometimes duck, and garofo, a variety of lima or butterbean. These are cooked in olive oil and chicken broth. The dish is sometimes seasoned with some rosemary branches. Traditionally, the yellow color comes from saffron, but turmeric and calendula can be used as substitutes. Artichoke hearts and stems may be used as seasonal ingredients. Have you ever had artichoke?
No.
I want to try it. I wonder what it tastes like. I know it's a mission to eat because you have all these layers of leaves.
I would think it would be very similar to...
cabbage.
I don't know why. I feel like... I don't know what a waterblommetjie is in English. I feel like...
It's going to be something like lotus, but it's not that.
I feel like it's the same because it looks the same and the texture looks the same if you... Because I've seen the canned variety.
Of artichokes. Yeah, but I'd like to have it, freshly made. Like, I've never had... Brussels sprouts, but I don't think I'll ever want because someone told me it's like a condensed version of
Kale.
Cabbage.
It is.
I don't eat
I
cabbage.
thought you were going to say it's a condensed version of a fart. It basically is. But just it tastes better. I like Brussels sprouts. It's okay, but you need to cook it correctly. It's very bitter.
Oh, okay.
We have frozen Brussels sprouts if you want.
No, I'm okay, thanks.
It does make you fart though.
But that's milk for me. Or any dairy.
Yeah, and it's a family. It's a cabbage family, so like.
But it's the same with a lot of people don't like patty pans, and I love patty pans.
I used to hate as a child. I didn't like patty pans because I feel like it was never cooked correctly when I ate it because it also has that bitter taste to it.
My family used to make like a sweet sauce with it.
Oh.
Which I didn't like until I ate it salty, and then I liked it.
That's
I know.
If you take that bitter taste that some patty pans has and put a taste of cabbage on it.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's Brussels sprouts. Yeah.
Okay. No thanks. I'm good. I honestly don't like cabbage, but okay. So there's the paella de marisco. That's the seafood paella. They replace the meat with seafood and omit beans and green vegetables. While paella mixed paella combines meat from livestock, seafood, vegetables, and sometimes beans with traditional rice. That's the one you ate.
Yes.
That's the one you ate.
Yeah, that's good.
Sure. You go enjoy your paella mixta.
It was good. I must say, I think if you would definitely like.
I'll have paella with anything else, with fish or something else.
It's a very hearty meal. It's really nice.
Not with like how my family made
Yeah.
it. Jesus fuck no.
Look, the seafood one is really popular, especially all the places I were, because obviously we were in the coastal areas, so seafood paella was the way to go.
Yes.
But it was quite overwhelming because like literally there's like 4 or 5 cafes and restaurants next to each other, and every single one of them do paella. It's like they are paella restaurants. So it's so overwhelming, and especially with those places, they're like, no, come sit here, it's special deal. And I'm like, no, I'm okay, thank you. Yeah, I actually only ate paella, I think it was once or twice, maybe 3. No, it was once or twice. I ate a seafood one once, and then I had the mixed one. It was good, and they actually bring it in the pan.
Oh.
Yeah, they make it in the pan and then they bring you the pan.
Oh, okay.
It's like when you eat at Ocean Basket.
Oh yeah, when they bring a pan for you.
Same.
Although that pan just seems very clean though. I think they put it in a clean pan. That's
They do.
heated.
They do. It's their plates.
Oh.
But no, they actually cook it in your pan for you.
Yeah, okay.
Well, depending on what restaurant you go to. But it makes it stay warmer for longer.
Makes sense.
Yeah. My next one is number 5, and it's sashimi, which
I've never had actually.
but you don't really like the idea of eating raw fish. If you don't like raw fish in sushi,
I think the thing that sort of disgusts me is the
seaweed.
the rice and the seaweed.
You don't like the rice?
No, it's I don't know. I think it's the seaweed.
What do you don't like about the rice?
I don't know if it's because it's very like it's almost too sticky, because I do like sticky rice.
Yeah, but it's a different type of sticky.
It's a different type of rice as well. I don't know. I just don't like the whole situation.
But yeah, okay. So sashimi, the famous Japanese dish, describes raw seafood, usually fish, which is sliced into bite-sized bits, eaten raw with soy sauce or wasabi.
Mm-hmm.
And wasabi, if you like. The word sashimi means pierced body. This word dates from the Muromachi period and was possibly coined when the word kiru, which means cut, the culinary step, was considered too inauspicious to be used by anyone other than samurai. This word may derive from the culinary practice of sticking the fish's tail and fin to slices for the purpose of identifying the fish being eaten.
Interesting. Okay.
Another possibility for the name is the traditional method of harvesting. Sashimi grade fish is caught by individual handline. As soon as the fish is landed, its brain is pierced with a sharp spike and it is placed in slurried ice. This spiking is called the ikejime process. And the instantaneous death means that the fish's flesh contains a minimal amount of lactic acid. This means that the fish will keep fresh on ice for about 10 days without turning white or otherwise degrading. To highlight the delicate flavor as well as for texture, the chef cuts fish into different thicknesses, the variety of fish, its age, and by the season. The hirazukiri cut, literally flat slice, is the standard cut for most sashimi. Typically, this style of cut is the size of a domino and 10 mm thick. Tuna, salmon, and kingfish are most commonly cut in this style. The usuzukiri cut, literally thin slice, is extremely thin, diagonally cut slice that is mostly used to cut firm fish such as bream, whiting, and flounder. The dimensions of this fish is usually 50 mm long and 2 mm wide. The kakuzukiri cut, literally square slice, is the style in which sashimi is cut into small cubes that are 20 mm on each side. The ituzukiri cut, literally thread slice, is the style in which the fish is cut into fine strips less than 2 mm in diameter.
Jeez.
The fish typically cut with the itozukiri style include garfish and squid. Squid dish prepared itozukiri is also called ikasomen, and you dip them in dashi. Yeah, so with that, they actually do variations of other meat as well in sashimi style. So they usually do beef, goat, and other meats as well. They do shark, dolphin, and sashimi is seen as a delicacy, and it's usually a pre-meal to your main dish.
That's why it's so expensive also.
Yeah.
Because you can only can afford like 4 pieces.
Yeah. So I think what we've experienced with sashimi in South Africa is really minimal compared to what you would experience at an actual Japanese restaurant. But yeah, that's sashimi.
Huh.
I keep on forgetting to give a Megan rating. I'll give it 10 out of 10. I love fucking sashimi.
I'll try it. I've never tried it. I'll definitely give it a try.
I would say try with... So, generally, tuna is a bit easier to go down. Salmon is really nice, but it's very, very rich.
I know.
So, it's very...
We've had salmon
rich.
sandwiches before that we made at home.
Yeah, but it was smoked salmon.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bit of a difference.
I'll try.
It's buttery. You would like... I think you would like actually sashimi as salmon sashimi as well, because it's very buttery. It's... Oh, I'm making myself like craving it now. Fuck, it's delicious. Anyway.
Anyway, number 4, I have tacos. And I gave it a marinade rating of 9 out of 10. Because I do like tacos. Although I've never had the...
soft shell.
Yeah, but I mean like Taco Bell, like that type of tacos.
Oh, yeah, we don't have Taco Bell and those places in South Africa.
So we make it at home. But the ones we make at home is very nice.
And it's from like traditional Mexican...
Yeah, you buy the box and you get the shells and you get the spices and the salsa. And...
I actually want to go to the Mexican restaurant that's here in Somerset West.
Oh, yeah, I forgot this one.
And that's the people that make... that do the... that make the... Yeah, anyway.
But the taco as we know today is a blend of ancient Mexican recipes and international influences. However, before it was known in America, natives in Mexico were eating a version that looked quite different. Tacos were thought to come from Mexico long before the Spanish arrived. Ancient Mexicans used freshly made soft flat corn tortillas and made them with fillings like fish and cooked organs. It was a staple meal that provided vital nutrients and energy for those who consumed it. These tacos didn't obtain the cheese, lettuce, sour cream and tomato that we associate with a meal today. In fact, the taco we know is less than 100 years old. The word taco is actually quite new. It originated from Mexican silver miners in the 18th century. Gunpowder was wrapped in a paper like tacuto and inserted into rocks before detonation. By this time, tacos were known as the food of the working class, which included miners. This resulted the portable street food being called tacos de minero, which is known as miners' tacos. That's quite interesting. The tortilla in these miners' tacos weren't as a hard U-shaped shell like we know today. Instead, it was a corn tortilla with a spicy filling. This daily staple was filling, delicious, and affordable. The taco was first introduced into the United States in 1905. American migrants were coming to work on the railroads and other jobs and started bringing their delicious food with them. Tacos were essentially a street food at this time since they were highly portable and cheap. In fact, Americans first became exposed to tacos through a Mexican food carts in Los Angeles that were run by women called Chili Queens. That's quite cute. These ladies sold delicious economic Mexican food like soft corn tortilla tacos, and they were deemed exotic by any American that tried one. The fillings were incredibly spicy and unfamiliar to the American palate. By 1920, the food Mexican immigrants brought in started to fuse with American ingredients. Organs were replaced with some palatable ground beef and chicken. Cheddar cheese, cool lettuce, tomato became standard fillings. This became known as the ultimate taco to Americans whose traditional cuisine favored more subtle flavors. In short, the taco was becoming something of a Mexican-American fusion. Things got even more interesting when Taco Bell became mainstream and created a breed of Mexican food that wasn't authentically Mexican at all. It's actually quite funny if you think about it.
Yeah.
Ironic, actually. The pre-fried U-shaped taco shell we loved didn't come into existence until the 1940s. Mexicans patented this idea first to expedite the taco making process. Taco Bell took this idea 10 years later to streamline their operations. Nowadays, you can find tacos practically anywhere from your local street food stand to Chipotle. Each place has a different experience to offer, whether it's an authentic or Mexican-inspired fusion meal. So that's that.
They have burritos that's basically the size of an arm.
I know. I've had a burrito before. It's actually quite nice.
Oh, I've had as well.
But the thing is, I can only do the wild shit. I can't do the stuff with the onions and the stuff with this and this and this. Otherwise, I'll shit myself to death.
Yeah. Oh, I love Mexican food. But everyone loves Taco Bell, but everyone says obviously it's not. Yeah.
Your stomach.
Yeah. They said I saw this post where someone said, "Oh, I got Taco Bell yesterday," and then Taco Bell commented on the Twitter post, and he's like, and they said, "Oh, what did you get?" He said diarrhea, but it was worth it. Oh shit!
That's so funny.
Yeah. Okay, my next one is number 3, and it is ramen. So ramen, literally meaning pooled noodles, is a Japanese noodle soup. It consists of Chinese wheat noodles served in a meat or occasionally fish-based broth, often flavored with soy sauce or miso, and uses toppings such as sliced pork, nori, which is dried seaweed, menma, and scallions. Nearly every region in Japan has its own variation of ramen, such as tonkotsu, pork bone broth, that's what it is, tonkotsu, ramen of Kyushu, and the miso ramen of Hokkaido. Mazemen is a ramen dish that is not served in a soup, but rather with a sauce, such as tare, like noodles that are served with a sweet and sour sauce. Ramen is a Japanese adaptation of Chinese wheat noodles. One theory says that ramen was first introduced to Japan during the 1660s by the Chinese Neo-Confucian scholar Zhu Shunsui, who served as an advisor to Tokugawa Mitsukuni after he became a refugee in Japan to escape Manchu rule, and Mitsukuni became the first Japanese person to eat ramen. Although most historians reject this theory as a myth created by the Japanese to embellish the origins of ramen. The more plausible theory is that ramen was introduced by Chinese immigrants in the late 19th or early 20th century at Yokohama's Chinatown. According to the record of Yokohama Ramen Museum, ramen is originated in China and made its way over to Japan in 1859. Early versions were wheat noodles in broth topped with Chinese-style roast pork. The word ramen is a Japanese transcription of the Chinese liamian, and that's why ramen is not written in hiragana scripture. It's actually written in
kanji.
No, katakana.
Oh.
Which is the one that is used for foreign words. The first ramen shop named Rai-Raiken. In 1910, the first ramen shop named Rai-Raiken opened at Asakusa, Tokyo, where the Japanese owner employed 12 Cantonese cooks from Yokohama's Chinatown and served the ramen arranged for Japanese customers. Until the 1950s, ramen was called Shina soba, literally Chinese soba, but today chuka soba, also meaning Chinese soba, or just ramen are more common, as the word Shina, meaning China, has acquired a pejorative connotation. In 1958, instant noodles were invented by Momofuku Ando, the Taiwanese-Japanese founder and chairman of Nissin Foods. Named the greatest Japanese invention of the 20th century in a Japanese poll, instant ramen allowed anyone to make an approximate of this dish simply by adding boiling water. Beginning in the 1980s, ramen became a Japanese cultural icon and was studied around the world from many perspectives. At the same time, local varieties of ramen were hitting the national market and could even be ordered by their regional names. A ramen museum opened in Yokohama in 1994. Today, ramen is arguably one of Japan's most popular foods, with Tokyo alone containing around 5,000 ramen shops and more than 24,000 ramen shops across Japan. Tsuta, a ramen restaurant in Tokyo's Sugama district, received a Michelin star in December of 2015.
Jeez.
Yeah. So,
That's not easy to get a Michelin star.
No, so a ramen shop getting a Michelin star. But I love ramen, so. And I'll give it a Megan rating of 10 out of 10.
I've never really had ramen, so I can't comment.
You
make your own.
I make my own, but I also have had...
I know you sent me a picture once at one of the restaurants you were
Yeah.
with this massive bowl of ramen.
Fuck, it was delicious. I've had traditional ramen more than once, but I do make my own ramen as well with traditional ingredients. So
Yeah, I've never had it, so unfortunately I can't give it a Marnay rating. So it's going to be a question mark rating.
But you've had instant noodle ramen, but that's not compare.
Oh
you
Jesus
can't
fuck,
compare
please don't take me back to my university years.
Yeah, see, most people know instant noodles as when they couldn't afford anything else, and like that's what they lived off of. That's what I think most Americans remember it as, that as well. But
that and instant soup.
Yeah.
Oh.
So no, I love ramen. I can eat instant noodles every day, any day, because I make a variation of flavors.
Yeah, so that's fine. But you know, if you're very limited with items at hand.
Oh, I use anything we have at home.
No, I mean just a kettle.
Oh, yeah, I know that, but I mean, you can make ramen now.
Yeah, exactly.
How many years has it been? So you can do it now.
I can. I should actually. I should.
Yeah.
I should. But in any case, at number 2,
Yes.
I have sushi.
Yes.
And I'm giving it a Marnay rating of -2.
You just haven't had the right sushi.
I wrote you 2, but it's supposed to be -2 because I can't stand the smell, the taste, the texture. Any case. So the history of sushi is actually very interesting because it's very westernized. The sushi that we know today is so westernized. It's not the sushi that's from many years ago. So it's actually from China in the 2nd century AD.
Damn.
Originally, sushi arose out of a way of preserving food. Fish was placed in rice and allowed to ferment, which allowed an individual to keep the fish edible for some time. The rice was thrown away and the fish was eaten when needed or wanted. The method spread out throughout China by the 7th century and had made its way to Japan, where seafood was historically been a staple. The Japanese, however, took the concept further and began to eat the rice with the fish. Originally, the dish was prepared in much of the same manner. By the early 17th century, however, Matsumoto Yoshichi of Edo, now Tokyo, started seasoning the rice with rice wine vinegar while making his sushi for sale. This allowed the dish to be eaten immediately instead of waiting the months it might normally take to prepare the sushi. In the early 19th century, a man by the name of Hanaya Yohei conceived a major change in the production and preservation of his sushi. No longer wrapping the fish in rice, he placed a piece of fresh fish on top of an oblong-shaped piece of seasoned rice. Today, we call this style nigiri sushi, finger sushi, or edomae sushi, from Edo, the same of Tokyo at the time, and is now the common way of eating Japanese sushi. At the time, sushi was served from sushi stalls on the street and was meant to be a snack or quick bite to eat on the go. Served from the stall was not only the first of the real fast food sushi, but quickly became wildly popular. From his home in Edo, This style of serving sushi rapidly spread throughout Japan, aided by the Great Kanto earthquake in 1923, as many people lost their homes and businesses and moved from Tokyo. After World War II, the sushi stalls were shut down and moved indoors to more sanitary conditions. More formal seating was later provided. The first iteration were merely an indoor version of the sushi stalls, and sushi changed from fast food to a true dining experience. Sushi spread around the globe, and with advent from the promotion of seafood, this unusual style of serving fish was quickly adopted by Western cultures. Always eager to something new, especially something that has grown as sophisticated and unique as sushi. The Oxford English Dictionary notes the earliest written mention of sushi in an 1893 book called The Japanese Interiors, where it mentioned that domestics served us with tea and sushi or rice sandwiches. However, there is also mention of sushi in a Japanese English dictionary from 1873 and an 1879 article on Japanese cookery in the journal Notes and Queries. Additionally, the 1879 best-selling book A Tour Around the World by General Grant by James Dabney McCabe. What a weird name, James McCabe, describes former President Ulysses S. Grant dining on the sashimi version of sushi during his visit to Japan. Anyway. But, fun fact, sushi is a $22 billion industry.
Damn.
Because a lot of people like sushi,
Yeah,
unlike
they
me.
do. I would give it a Megan rating of 10 out of 10. Sushi is definitely one of my, weirdly enough, the top 3 is my top 3 foods.
I know when I saw the first one, yeah.
So, and it's interchangeable, like I said, depending on which one I like the best. And then, for number 1, it's pizza!
Yay!
Pizza!
I mean, who doesn't like pizza?
Yeah, who doesn't like pizza?
I would give that a Marnay rating of 9.5 out of 10.
Will anything get a 10 out of 10? Only a traditionally home-cooked meal in South Africa for you.
No, that would be a 9 out of 10.
Anyway, some 3 billion pizzas are sold each year in the United States alone.
Jeez.
An average of 46 slices per person.
Fucking hell.
People have been eating pizza in one form or another for centuries. As far back as antiquity, pieces of flatbread topped with savories served as simple and tasty meal for those who could not afford plates or who were on the go. These early pizzas appear in Virgil's Aeneid. Shortly after arriving in Latium, Aeneas and his crew sat down beneath a tree and laid out thin wheaten cakes as platters for their meal. They then scattered them with mushrooms and herbs they had found in the woods and guzzled them down, crust and all, prompting Aeneas' son Ascanius to exclaim, "Look, we've even eaten our plates." But it was in the late 18th century in Naples that the pizza, as we now know, it came into being. Under the Bourbon kings, Naples had become one of the largest cities in Europe, and it was growing fast. Fueled by overseas trade and a steady influx of peasants from the countryside, its population ballooned from 200,000 in 1700 to 399,000 in 1748. As the urban economy struggled to keep pace, an ever greater number of the city's inhabitants fell into poverty. The most abject of these were known as Lazzaroni, because their ragged appearance resembled that of Lazarus. Numbering around 50,000, they scraped by on the pittance they earned as porters, messengers, or casual laborers. Always rushing about in search of work, they needed food that was cheap and easy to eat. Pizzas met this need. Sold not in shops, but by street vendors carrying huge boxes under their arms. They would be cut to meet the customer's budget or appetite. As Alexandre Dumas noted,
I'm sorry, I have to stop you there. So it's cut by the person's budget, so it's cheaper if I take it in squares. Or in this weird, in like a weird shape, like a puzzle shape.
As Alexandre Dumas noted in Le Curricula, 1843, a 2-liard slice would make a good breakfast, while 2 sous would buy a pizza large enough for a whole family. None of them were terribly complicated. Though similar in some respects to Virgil's flatbreads, they were now defined by inexpensive, easy to find ingredients with plenty of flavor. The simplest were topped with nothing more than garlic, lard, and salt. But others included cavallo, a cheese made from horse's milk, seminielli, Cicinielli, sure, white bait, or basil. Some even had tomatoes on top. Only recently introduced from the Americas, these were still a curiosity looked down upon by contemporary gourmets, but it was their unpopularity and hence their low price that made them attractive. For a long time, pizzas were scorned by food writers, associated with the crunching poverty of the Lazzaroni. They were frequently denigrated as disgusting, especially by foreign visitors. In 1831, Samuel Morse, inventor of the telegraph, described pizza as a species of the most nauseating cake covered over with slices of pomodoro or tomatoes and sprinkled with little fish and black pepper, and I know not what other ingredients. It altogether looks like a piece of bread that has been taken reeking out of the sewer.
Really? Oh my word.
When the first cookbooks appeared in the late 19th century, they pointedly ignored pizza. Even those dedicated to Neapolitan cuisine disdained to mention it, despite the fact that the gradual improvement in the Lazzaroni status had prompted the appearance of the first pizza restaurants. All that changed after Italian unification. While on a visit to Naples in 1889, King Umberto I and Queen Margherita grew tired of the complicated French dishes they were served for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Hastily summoned to prepare some local specialities for the Queen, the pizzaiolo, Raphael
Despacito.
Raphael Esposito cooked 3 sorts of pizza. One with lard, cacchiofalo, and basil. Another with cicinielli, and a third with tomatoes, mozzarella, and basil. The Queen was delighted. Her favorite.
Good.
The Queen was delighted. Her favorite. The last of the 3 was christened Pizza Margherita in her honor. This signaled an important shift. Margherita's seal of approval not only elevated the pizza from being a food fit only for Lazzaroni to being something a royal family could enjoy, but also transformed pizza from a local into a truly national dish. It introduced the notion that pizza was genuinely Italian food, akin to pasta and polenta. Nevertheless, pizza was slow to move on out of Naples. The initial spur was provided by migration. From the 1930s onwards, a growing number of Neapolitans moved northwards in search of work, taking their cuisine with them. This trend was accelerated by war. When Allied soldiers invaded Italy in 1943 to 1944, They were so taken by the pizza they encountered in Campania that they asked for it wherever else they went. But it was tourism facilitated by the declining cost of travel in the post-war period that really consolidated pizza's position as a truly Italian dish. As tourists became increasingly curious about Italian food, restaurants throughout the peninsula started offering more regional specialities, including pizza. The quality was at first variable. Not every restaurant had a pizza oven. Nevertheless, pizza quickly spread throughout Italy. As it did so, new ingredients were introduced in response to local tastes and the higher prices that customers were now willing to pay. But it was in America that pizza found its second home. By the end of the 19th century, Italian immigrants had already reached the East Coast, and in 1905, the first pizzeria, Lombardi's, was opened. Soon, pizza became an American institution, spreading across the country in step with the growing pace of urbanization. It was quickly taken up by enterprising restaurants, who were often not from an Italian background, and adapted to reflect local tastes, identities, and needs. Shortly after the US entered the Second World War, a Texan named Ike Sewell attempted to attract new customers to his newly opened Chicago pizzeria by offering a much heartier version of the dish, complete with a deeper, thicker crust and richer, more abundant toppings, usually with cheese at the bottom and a mountain of chunky tomato sauce heaped on top of it. At about the same time, the Rocky Mountain Pie was developed in Colorado. Although not as deep as its Chicago relative, it had a much wider crust, which was meant to be eaten with honey as a dessert. In time, these were even joined by a Hawaiian version topped with ham and pineapple.
Yes, my favorite.
Much to the bewilderment of Neapolitans.
Why though? It's delicious.
It's so good. From the 1950s onwards, the rapid pace of economic and technological change in the US transformed the pizza even more radically. Two changes are worthy of note. The first was the domestication of pizza. As disposable incomes grew, fridges and freezers became increasingly common and demand for convenience foods grew, prompting the development of the frozen pizza, designed to be taken home and cooked at will. This required changes to be made to the recipe. Instead of being scattered with generous slices of tomato, the base was now smothered with a smooth tomato paste, which served to prevent the dough from drying out during oven cooking. And now cheeses had to be developed to withstand freezing. The second change was the commercialization of pizza. With the growing availability of cars and motorcycles, it became possible to deliver freshly cooked food to customers' doors, and pizza was among for the first dishes to be served up. In 1960, Tom and James Monaghan founded Dominique's in Michigan, and after winning a reputation for speedy delivery, took their company, which they named Domino's, nationwide. They and their competitors expanded abroad, so that now there is scarcely a city in the world where they cannot be found.
We don't have one.
We have Domino's.
Where?
Stellenbosch, Cape Town.
But not here in Somerset West.
Nothing comes to fucking Somerset West. We're a black hole of the
world.
Yeah, so yeah.
We're only gonna get a Starbucks in August.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and
so
Starbucks is how long in South Africa now?
It's been a while.
It's been a while?
It's been a while.
And how long was it before we got a Burger King?
Burger King was the first to come to South Africa. One of the... Well,
and Tiger Valley?
Well, KFC and McDonald's, but that doesn't count because that's been in South Africa for a lot of years. But Burger King only came after we finished high school.
Yeah, so that's after
2010. So it was in the mid 2010s. I think it was about
2011?
No, it was later than that.
Oh.
I was working in...
Still recent though.
I was working at Bobby Brown already. So that would have been 2014, 2015.
And can you remember the pictures that people took from the line?
From the queues of... And the first Burger King was in Cape Town itself. And then that was about 2013, 2014. And then now Burger King you can get everywhere. But Burger King was the first international restaurant chain that came to South Africa. And then we had Dunkin' Donuts, but Dunkin' Donuts, I think they stopped. I don't think they made money in South Africa.
Yeah. Now we have
Krispy Kreme,
which is amazing.
Fuck, it's so good. And then we have... A lot of the places are in Johannesburg, not Cape Town though. But
Same,
so the original pizzas had pieces of tomato, not actual tomato paste like you get now.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Quite like pizza.
Oh, I love pizza. Megan rating 20 out of 10.
I second that.
No, so definitely my top three favorite foods are pizza, sushi, and ramen. And it's interchangeable. I love pasta as well, but it depends. But ramen is definitely top 3.
But the next episode, we will discuss the 10 best theme parks of the world.
Nice. That's going to be so cool.
Can't wait for that one.
So stay tuned for that.
Remember to follow us on all the social medias and also to support us on Patreon.
Yes.
Your support is very much appreciated. We are literally working on
new things for
the Patreon supporters.
Yes.
So
exclusive content for Patreon.
Exactly. Exclusive. Yes. Very exclusive. So keep an eye out for that.
Yes.
And then till next week, cheers vir eers.
Cheers vir eers.